What happened to Kirsten Brueggeman? On the first night of 2021, most of Indianapolis was recovering from New Year's celebrations. A 26-year-old woman named Kirsten Brueggeman quietly vanished into the darkness. She wasn't at a party. She wasn't far from home. She hadn't run away. She simply walked through a parking lot and was never seen again. More than 3 years later, the mystery remains. How does a young woman disappear in a world filled with surveillance cameras, cell phones, and social media? This is the haunting case of Kirsten Brueggeman.
Kirsten Brueggeman. Kirsten Suzanne Brueggeman wasn't a public figure. She wasn't famous or infamous, just a young woman navigating adulthood in Indianapolis. At 26, she still lived with her parents, Lisa and Rex Brueggeman, on the east side of the city. She didn't drive, but it didn't stop her from getting around. She walked, took the bus, or relied on rides from friends and family. Those who knew Kirsten described her as kind-hearted, soft-spoken, and loyal. She loved animals, had a quirky sense of humor, and preferred quiet nights with friends over loud parties. She worked at a Pizza Hut, and was known by co-workers for being dependable and friendly. Her relationship with her ex-boyfriend Eddie was, by most accounts, complicated, on and off, emotional, but still ongoing in some form as 2021 began. Kirsten wasn't running from anything. She had no history of mental illness, no signs of distress. Her family life was solid. Her friends were steady. And despite the challenges of the pandemic and everyday pressures, she seemed to be doing what millions of people her age were doing, getting by. That's what makes what happened next so baffling. Kirsten had plans. She had structure. She had reasons to come home. But on January 2, 2021, she didn't. The last night anyone saw her. Kirsten's last known night began like many others. After finishing a shift at work, she told her mother she'd be heading out to meet friends and wouldn't need a ride. The plan was simple: a night at Manly's Irish Mutt, a neighborhood bar she'd been to before. It wasn't far from home. She was familiar with the area. It was nothing out of the ordinary. The group included her ex-boyfriend Eddie and a few mutual friends. At first, the night was unremarkable. They played pool, shared drinks, and caught up. But sometime around midnight, things took a turn. According to witnesses, Kirsten got into an argument, details are scarce, and the group decided to leave. They walked out, headed for a nearby bowling alley, leaving Kirsten behind. Now alone, Kirsten stepped into the freezing Indiana night. It was below freezing, bitterly cold and eerily quiet. She had her backpack but no phone or wallet. Surveillance footage from nearby businesses showed her walking steadily along Washington Street. No signs of intoxication. No panic. Just a lone figure making her way through the dark. Eventually, Kirsten was spotted on camera at the YMCA on Shortridge Road. The timestamp was roughly 2 a.m. She walked through the east side parking lot, headed toward a corner of the lot bordered by a privacy fence and an adjacent apartment complex. She paused briefly, adjusted her bag, and moved forward. And then, she was gone. The glitched camera and a missing moment. The final moments of Kirsten's path are caught on a YMCA security camera. It's grainy but clear enough to make out her white backpack and familiar clothing. She heads toward the corner of the lot and either walks through a gap or climbs the fence. That's where the camera cuts out. There's no fade, no malfunction slowly warping the video. One frame she's there, the next she's gone. When the footage picks back up minutes later, the lot is empty. No Kirsten. No car. No movement. Just silence. The timing of the glitch has fueled endless speculation. Was it just bad luck, a simple hardware error? Or was it something darker, an intentional edit, a deletion, a cover-up? Technicians who reviewed the system concluded it was a malfunction. But the coincidence is hard to ignore. This wasn't just a break in technology. It was a break in the timeline. Kirsten's story stops at that glitch. Whatever happened next, good or bad, was never captured. And to this day, that moment remains the single most frustrating detail in the case. The investigation stalls. Kirsten's mother reported her missing the very next day. Police responded quickly and began reconstructing her final movements. They spoke to witnesses, reviewed camera footage from nearby businesses, and searched the surrounding area. They confirmed she had left the bar around 12:15 a.m. Surveillance footage tracked her path all the way to the YMCA. After that, the trail went cold. There were no further sightings. No digital footprints. No evidence of struggle or foul play. Her family quickly mobilized a parallel effort. They printed flyers, held vigils, and hired a private investigator. Loth Investigations International joined the search. A GoFundMe was launched to help fund searches. A $10,000 reward was posted. The community responded, but nothing new emerged. At one point, a bartender in Franklin, Indiana, believed Kirsten had come into his bar. He was confident. The woman matched her photo exactly. But after investigation, it turned out to be someone else. It was another in a series of false hopes. Each one more gut-wrenching than the last. What happened to Kirsten? Theories abound. And like all cold cases, they range from the possible to the outlandish. The most obvious theory is foul play. Someone may have intercepted Kirsten after she walked into the apartment complex. There was a report of a dark vehicle leaving the area around 2:37 a.m., but police were never able to identify it or connect it to her disappearance. Still, the timing raises eyebrows. Then there's Eddie, her ex-boyfriend. They'd been together that night. Some online posts claim the relationship had grown abusive, though none of this has been confirmed by police. He has never been named a suspect. But his involvement in the night's events continues to draw scrutiny, particularly his decision to leave her at the bar. Others wonder if Kirsten succumbed to the elements. It was brutally cold. She was dressed lightly. Could she have become disoriented, climbed the fence, and collapsed nearby? But no body was ever found. No items of clothing. No backpack. And the area was thoroughly searched. The most disturbing theory involves trafficking. Young woman, isolated, no phone. No trace. Could someone have been waiting? Could the glitch have hidden her abduction? There's no hard evidence for this, but it remains a strong suspicion among amateur sleuths online. And of course, some have suggested that Kirsten chose to walk away. But this theory is perhaps the least likely. She had no money. No transportation. No bags. And most importantly, no motive. She had plans for the weekend. She had a family she loved. If she was planning to vanish, she didn't prepare. The truth is, none of these theories answer every question. They all fall short. And that's what makes her case so maddening. A family still searching. More than 3 years later, Kirsten's family continues to search for answers. Her mother Lisa has become a tireless advocate, posting regular updates to Facebook, working with private investigators, and keeping Kirsten's name in the media whenever possible. The case was featured in an episode of Investigation Discoveries Disappeared, and several podcasts have covered the story. Each retelling brings a new wave of tips, messages, and interest. But still, no breakthroughs. Lisa has said in interviews that she just wants to know what happened. She isn't focused on punishment or revenge. She wants closure. She wants to bring her daughter home. And that's the cruelest part of missing persons cases. The not knowing. The silence. The way time stretches out, unkind and unbearable, when the person you love simply never walks through the door again.
Someone knows if you have any information about the disappearance of Kirsten Brueggeman, you are urged to contact the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. Missing Persons Unit at 37327-6160 or submit a tip to Loth Investigations at 37279-60082. All tips can remain anonymous. It only takes one person, one witness, one overlooked detail, one guilty conscience finally ready to come clean. Kirsten Brueggeman didn't just vanish. She was seen, tracked, followed, and then erased